Welcome back to The Point, and a special episode on the enormous challenges facing the administration in Kashmir. Dr. Karan Singh, now the Home Secretary yesterday sent a message to the Kashmir administration saying, create on your website a list of all those who've been rescued, where they are, and make it available. No doubt that is essential so that Kashmiris themselves know where their separated loved ones are, and it's essential for those who are outside the state and deeply anxious about their family members. But if the administration is completely evaporated, if there are no policemen on the road, if there are no politicians to be seen, how on earth do we get to this stage of creating a list of those who've been rescued and put it up on a website? Does it not, it's an essential thing, but can it happen?
That's why I said, Karan, we have to recreate or revive the state administration. That's absolutely essential. Because as you say, the army can do a great deal. They can even run camps for a short while. But it is only a temporary arrangement. Ultimately, the civil administration. Then let us come to communications, to the horrific health problems we are now going to face there, and then the long, painful process of rehabilitation. All of this cannot be done unless the state administration comes to life again. And that is why I had suggested that perhaps...
Can I ask you one quick question? At the moment, the state administration is not just dormant. Reports suggest it's evaporated. It's actually missing. It can't be seen. So how do we revive it? Because these lists of those rescued need to go up in 24 hours. How does it do it? It's not there to do it.
Is there no other agency that can put it up on the website?
I don't know. I'm going to try and see if there is.
Perhaps the army agency could help.
Let me bring in Dr. Reddy at that point.
The army can help because they won't know the names.
Let me bring in Dr. Reddy on that critical point. Dr. Reddy, Dr. Karan Singh raises a very important question. Is there any other agency that can undertake this critical task of putting up on a website the names of all those who've been rescued, so that Kashmiris know where their loved ones are and those outside the state know how their family members are? Is there any other agency that can do it?
See, whenever the people are being rescued by the Air Force or the Army authorities, of course a lot of them are being rescued by boats. They should be able to maintain a list of people that they've been able to shift to safety, and all this should be compiled. There is a need for a coordinating agency. Let the army take it up.
It's very interesting. We're now coming around to my suggestion. Let the army take it up. When no one else can do it, the army is there to do it. General Hasnain, you're with us at the moment. You've been GOC&C 15th Corps. Can the army take on this third task of preparing lists of those who've been rescued and putting them up on websites so that Kashmiris know how their family members are? Can it take on that job? Has it got the talent to do it?
Karan, let me assure you, the army is already doing it. That is, a fledgling start has already been made. There are websites, there's a Facebook page of ADGPI, which is already putting it up. Now, there are about 15 camps which have been established by the army. The unfortunate thing is that these 15 camps are not netted together. That will happen in the next 2-3 days. The other suggestion I have is that the administration may have evaporated in Srinagar. You still have Baramulla, you still got Kupwara available to you. You got Bandipur, there's a whole district administration in Bandipur. The threats are not so much there. People can be brought in from there and they can start the whole work altogether again.
Why aren't people being brought in from all the other parts of Kashmir which are not as badly hit, and some places are not hit at all? That should have happened by now. It's a very good point that General Hasnain makes.
Let me tell you that I have a number of former colleagues, former probationers who are serving in Kashmir. I've been getting my information on what's happening in the valley through the SSP Jammu, who is one of my former trainees. But the information that is coming in is inaccurate. General Hasnain talks about the Facebook thing. The information there is inaccurate.
The main point he makes is, why aren't officials from other places coming in?
They don't even have to come in. The officials there, you see that there's lack of communication at present, but the officials there are of that competence that they can easily run such a system. They need to be organized to do so. That's all.
Who's going to do that?
But that is the question. They need to be organized to do that. So there is nobody doing that. That is the difficulty there. That is what the.
Can I ask you another question?
There's a failure.
In the present circumstances, is it difficult, impossible for Umar Abdullah to take this step of organizing officials outside Srinagar to step into the breach because officials in Srinagar can't do it? Is it impossible and difficult, or is it something that he simply has been unable to do?
No, I don't think they've done it. That's all. I don't know. I haven't been able to discuss it with Omar. I would have been able to suggest it myself, but the point is...
But why do you think they haven't done it? Because it's such an obvious step.
The people existing in Srinagar itself can easily do this. They don't have to be brought in from anywhere.
But they aren't doing it.
They aren't doing it, and they should do
it.
No,
but they're not doing it, and therefore you have to get others in to do it.
Because they're trying to do everything on their own, which they're succeeding in doing nothing.
That's the question I'm asking you. Why has Omar Abdullah not brought in officials from outside?
In this context, what has happened, which is also feedback that I got from Shafi Pandit, is that people who are going to the police are actually being shooed off. They're being told to go away. This is not the way of going about it.
Which is even more bizarre.
That is correct. This is a bit bizarre.
If the communication, you are from a family that has suffered, you've been there in the floods, your parents are over there, you know what it's like. If those critical lists of the rescued were to somehow be put out, and the army, as you've heard General Hassan say, is trying to do it, if in fact in addition telephone links were to be restored, and I'm told not only are some links back around the airport, but there are also functioning phones occasionally in the Dal Lake area and the Rajbagh area. If those two things come together quickly, lists of the rescued and improved, not perfect, just improved communication, how much comfort and assurance would it give people in Kashmir?
Maximum. This is what, it was a panic that they don't know about whereabouts. Are they stuck? Are they alive? Or they have just gone with the water? So if this thing comes up, at least people will not panic.
So this is a critical step.
Critical step. This is the first major step.
Shashidhar Reddy, looking a little further afield, you have large oceans almost as you see them from the air of stagnant water. Is there a health hazard? Clearly, if there is, the Kashmir administration is not in any position to respond because it's evaporated and disappeared. Therefore, is this something that the central government needs to take on? Should we be now organizing paramedic teams and teams of doctors and medicine, as well as medicines to ensure that epidemics don't happen? Is that a major task that Delhi has to take on?
Yes, absolutely. Last year when it was Uttarakhand or Phylline cyclone in Orissa and Andhra Pradesh, medical help, certainly the central government will have to look at it, send a lot of teams there, and be prepared to send medicines and really be able
to I ask you something,
reach
Mr.
out
Reddy?
In a big way.
Can I ask you this? How quickly on that front, on the medical front, on the health front, does the central government need to respond? How much time does it have before the mere threat becomes a reality and you have real health concerns? How much time do they have?
Well, I think the sooner the better. I mean, it has to be done immediately. They should have people ready to go, medicines ready to go, and and then every camp should be reached, and also people who are yet to be rescued also, we need to look at their requirements as well.
Absolutely. General Jaswal, you've been Army Commander, Northern Command. I know that there are already teams of Army doctors operating in the valley. How much of this medical task can the Army doctors take on?
Up to a point, this resource with us is slightly limited, and we cannot, carry on this kind of support for long. The NDRF and the central agencies, they must step in for medical. The immediate thing, we can do it, but for how long and at what magnitude? That is the big question, because this particular commodity is very limited with us.
So what you're also saying is that the central government must quickly step in and assure that enough doctors, enough medicine is in the state to ensure there are no health problems and no threat of epidemic.
The NDRF is structured to take on such like medical aid being given, and they should be placed in service as so the medical spectrum is concerned.
Okay. Dr. Karan Singh, earlier in this discussion you said that the outbursts of anger that we're seeing may be understandable in the circumstances, but they were, you added, worrisome. Now, I noticed that the Indian Express today, quoting IAS officers and magistrates in the valley, says there could be serious law and order problems once the waters recede. Is that something we need to be aware of? That the present outbursts of anger may develop into something more serious?
Karan, we have enough problems on our hands immediately to start thinking about the doom that lies ahead. First of all, let me tell you, making lists is very important, websites are very important, but more important is rescuing people. 6 lakhs of people are still stranded. We can't wait for them to die before we put up our websites. For God's sake, the first priority has to be to rescue people. Do your websites. I'm the Union Health Ministry. I was, as you know, the Health Minister. The Union Health Ministry has got to get into the act immediately and dispatch teams of doctors and medicines in order to help the people. And finally, before I leave, remember the administration in Jammu, I think, is doing much better than the administration in Kashmir. Don't forget there were also floods in Jammu. You never talk about it.
Can I interrupt at that point?
They're also very badly affected.
Can I interrupt at that point? I want to put, in terms of that issue about the administration in Jammu doing much better, the issue I put to Wajaz Habibullah. There are also areas of the valley which are either not as badly hit as Srinagar and its immediate surroundings, or perhaps not hit at all. Are you perplexed that Omar Abdullah and his government haven't brought in officials from those regions to fill in the gaps that have happened because in Srinagar officials are hit and can't rise to the occasion? Are you surprised that this hasn't happened either from the Jammu end or from elsewhere in the valley?
Well, the Jammu end has got to look after Jammu because that's a huge region. But this question of bringing people in from outlying areas into Srinagar is all right, but where do they go? There don't seem to be any proper organized places where they make the camps or from where they can start functioning. So the whole thing has to be brought under some kind of control. The army is holding the fort, will hold the fort, but we have to get our act together, and that is why we really need a strong administrator for a few months.
Wajaz Habibullah, I want to put to you the overall impression that our discussion seems to be creating, and is going to stay with the audience, and which is why I want to address it up front with you. You have a situation where the civilian administration has not just collapsed, I keep using that word, it's evaporated, it's disappeared. And yet there's a crying need for it to do things, to organize itself, right? To organize relief camps and feeding centers, to organize lists of the rescued, to organize medicine and doctors, and then to also be aware that there could be subsequent law and order problems, even though that's further down the road. But the civilian administration is just not there.
No, but if I may mention, to clarify the point which you had put to Dr. Karan Singh, the point is that so far as Jammu is concerned, the divisional headquarters is not pulverized. The divisional headquarters is quite intact.
But Jammu is functioning, even if badly hit. Come to the valley.
In Srinagar, the divisional headquarters has been pulverized.
Precisely.
It is the divisional headquarters, the state headquarters, which has been pulverized.
You're rephrasing the problem I put you. Give me the answer.
Failure.
The problem you and I agree with, that the administration, the divisional headquarters are pulverized, as a result of which the administration has disappeared, it's evaporated. What takes its place?
Well, that is the difficulty. You see, this is not the first time this happened. What happened in 1989-90 was very similar. The administration completely collapsed in the face of militancy. Over a period of time, it did recover.
But militancy is not killing people the way this is. Here you could have lakhs dying because they're stranded. Oh, they don't have a period of time to wait.
Well, that's right. The rescue operations are on, and we have discussed already the point of stepping those up and going on.
Can I interrupt and put this to you? Can I put this to you? When you say to me, in answer to my question, how do we revive an administration that's just disappeared? All you and Dr. Karan Singh can say is either it's essential to revive it or it will happen over a period of time. But the problem is time isn't on our side.
I'm not saying it will happen. The people are there. They're quite capable of looking after it. That is why certain suggestions have been made about the kind of government you need over there, so as to be able to revive the structure of the government.
General Jaswal, the impression that is being left at the end of our discussion is that we have a really critical situation in Kashmir where, other than the army, there isn't a functioning institution. The civilian government has literally evaporated. The police are not visible. Officials elsewhere in Jammu are functioning perfectly, but then Jammu has its own problems. Officials from other parts of the valley, as Dr. Karan Singh pointed out, cannot really come in because, first of all, who's organizing for them to come in? And secondly, where will they stay when they come? Because the valley and Srinagar are decimated. It sounds hopeless. And I hate to use that word because I don't want to create any panic, but it still sounds hopeless.
Well, I do agree with Mr. Wajahat Habibullah that the divisional headquarters in Srinagar have been pulverized and there's a certain degree of paralysis. There is a certain time period which is required to come back for them. And the army is always there. We are structured to take on such emergencies. The NDRF has come in. We can sustain for a period wherein the state administration in Srinagar, I'm sure, will get activated. The initial state, the basic problem there is communication. Whom do they communicate with? How do they rally at a particular point? So these kind of difficulties are there, but the suggestion which was given that outside, say, Srinagar area, Baramulla, etc., what Dr. Hasnain was making a mention of, those people could be, collected, and they could become a force in itself to support the armed forces' efforts. The army is always there, and they will continue to do the job.
I'm going to come back to your suggestion of governor's rule. If I'm right in my recall, I think Dr. Karan Singh endorsed it as well.
Okay.
It would be one way of providing a civilian government, but with a very large military component doing the necessary rescue rehabilitation functions. How quickly do you think we need to move? I don't want to create a sense of panic. I don't want to be someone who sounds as if we are dismissing unelected government. We're clearly not. But we have a crisis situation where time is not on our side.
The real question is consultation with the existing civilian government, because without the cooperation of the existing civilian government, if you impose governor's rule, it will be counter-effective.
So you're saying Mr. Modi should pick up the phone and speak to Umar Abdullah and say, I have a feeling we're reaching a tipping point. Do you agree?
Well, if he picks up the phone, I don't know if he'll be able to get through, because as you know, the phone lines are
But there
down
are some phones functioning.
But there are means
and there must be satellite phones.
It would be a good idea for the government of the state and the government of India to consult with each other and move ahead immediately in the direction to see that the state administration is once more reactivated and works closely.
Is there something that
with
Umar
the military.
Abdullah should take the initiative himself? He must be well aware of how the government he presides over has literally collapsed. He must be aware of the tasks that are necessary and his administration's inability to do them. Therefore, should he himself pick up the phone to Mr. Modi to say, look, we've reached a crisis?
That really depends on his judgment. This would be my advice. But I can do no more than advice.
That would be your advice to him.
But the question is that he has to consider, and he is in a much better position to consider because he is there. I'm sitting in Delhi. He's sitting there, he's actually seeing the situation as it is, he knows the challenges. Does he require the intervention of the government of India at this stage to be able to set matters right, or does he feel that he can do it himself? If he feels he can do it himself, then certainly he should go ahead and do it himself.
Hina Shafi, I'm going to go back to you for that thought that was in the Indian Express today, expressed by IAS officers and magistrates, that the anger, the frustration that you're seeing when the waters recede could boil into something worse. The paper actually talks about the possibility of law and order. Dr. Karan Singh said, let's not go to doomsday scenarios so quickly, and he's right. Yeah. But do you share that concern, or do you think this is just journalistic exaggeration?
No. The moment the water settles down, the dead bodies are going to come out. We still don't know how many are alive, who were stuck, and how many have flown. So it is definitely going to create a panic. But my prime concern is that what we were just talking about, that Umar Abdullah should leave it aside, his politics, his government, and go up to the center and ask for the help, the immediate help. We're not concerned about what panic it's going to create after the water settles. Right now we have the major panic, we have the major crisis going on in Srinagar.
Dr. Karan Singh, you've served as governor, you've served as a central minister, you're a politician. Oh, we've lost Dr. Karan Singh at that point. What a pity. I want to put that to you. You know the Abdullahs personally. You've worked at the very epicenter of government. What do you think is the advice Umar Abdullah is getting? Because in a situation like this, he's also got to critically depend upon what his most trusted advisors say to him. He cannot simply do everything on his own. What sort of advice is he getting about either continuing or handing over to an authority that can tackle the challenge better?
Unfortunately, that is a question that I cannot answer at all, because of the fact that his own father is away in England, as you know. he would be, I don't know who he's in communication with, because I have not been able to communicate with him
But it's possible that at the most critical time he may not get the best advice.
It's possible, but he's a sensible young man, and hopefully, as you know, I mean, you have been a great admirer of his abilities, so he's a sensible young man. I'm sure he will take the right decision. The feedback that we are giving him from your channel here today is that the administration is seen by the public to be non-existent. So what would he like to do now to set that right?
All right, let's end on that note. That is a pertinent note in which to end. It leaves the ball squarely in Omar Abdullah's court, and we all hope that as Chief Minister, he rises to the occasion and either resurrects his administration and does so immediately, or accepts that this is a challenge that he may not be able to fulfill and steps aside for either the governor or the army to take over. My thanks to both of you for coming to studio. My thanks to all my other guests for joining me, and my apologies for the fact that we occasionally had problems with that line to General Hasnain. There we end this particular episode. Goodbye.